everyone. Today, I want to talk about something powerful, something invisible yet essential, something that, once built, can move mountains. Unshakable trust. Trust is the foundation of every relationship, every team, every community. Without it, even the strongest structures crumble. With it, even the most fragile bonds can endure the fiercest storms, of course. Here's a natural flowing expansion on asterisk asterisk, a foundation of all relationships, asterisk asterisk without headings, around 1,600 words as you requested. Trust is the invisible thread that ties people together. Without it, no relationship, whether personal, professional, or societal, can survive for long. It is often said that love makes the world go around, but it is trust that keeps love steady. In friendships, it's the quiet understanding that our vulnerabilities will be protected. In partnerships, it's the belief that we can lean on each other without fear of betrayal. In workplaces, it's the confidence that our colleagues will support rather than sabotage us. In communities, it is the knowledge that people will act for the greater good rather than self-interest. Trust is the soil from which loyalty, love, cooperation, and understanding grow. When trust is strong, relationships flourish even in the harshest conditions. When it is weak, even the best intentions can turn into disappointment. Building trust is not about grand gestures or momentary promises. It is about a series of small, consistent actions that over time create a deep reservoir of faith in another person. Think of it like watering a plant. A little each day ensures that the roots grow deep and strong. It is the same with trust. A kind word, a kept promise, a shoulder offered in times of need. These actions may seem small, but they accumulate, creating a bond that can withstand even the fiercest storms. Trust requires patience because it is not built in a day. It grows through repeated proof that someone's words match their actions, that their promises are not hollow, and that they will choose honesty even when it is difficult. In the absence of trust, fear takes root. Every conversation becomes a calculation, every action is second-guessed, and every relationship feels fragile, like glass ready to shatter at the slightest misstep. Without trust, we withhold our true selves. We hide behind masks, guarding our hearts, fearing that any exposure might be used against us. Relationships built in such an atmosphere are thin, brittle, and short-lived. But when trust is present, walls come down. People dare to be vulnerable. They dare to dream together, to plan together, to share their fears and ambitions without the constant dread of judgment or betrayal. In trusting relationships, people find strength they didn't know they had. They lift each other up. They grow together. Trust is not only the foundation of relationships between individuals, but also of entire societies. Laws, governments, businesses all rely on a fundamental trust that people will act in accordance with agreed rules. The most successful societies are not those that have the harshest punishments, but those where a shared trust exists between the people and their institutions. When citizens trust their leaders, they feel safe. They are more willing to contribute to the collective good. When leaders trust their citizens, they govern with respect rather than control. The erosion of trust in institutions leads to unrest, cynicism, and ultimately collapse. In every realm of human interaction, from the smallest friendship to the largest government, trust is the essential glue that holds things together. One of the most profound aspects of trust is that it demands mutual vulnerability. To trust someone, we must let go of complete control. We must accept that they have the power to hurt us and choose to believe they will not. This leap of faith is at once terrifying and beautiful. It says, I see you, your flaws, your past, your fears, and I choose to believe in your goodness. Giving someone your trust is one of the greatest gifts you can offer. Receiving someone's trust is one of the greatest honors. It is a silent contract that says, I will protect what you share with me. I will not use it against you. Trust also fosters resilience in relationships. When misunderstandings arise, and they inevitably will, relationships rooted in trust have the strength to survive. Instead of immediately assuming bad intent, trusted partners, friends, and colleagues seek clarification. They give each other the benefit of the doubt. They work through challenges instead of running from them. Trust creates a safe space where conflict can be resolved, not through blame and defensiveness, but through honest dialogue and mutual understanding. Without trust, even minor disagreements can escalate into major rifts. With trust, even major conflicts can be opportunities for deeper connection. Another essential truth about trust is that it requires authenticity. We cannot expect others to trust us if we present a false version of ourselves. Authenticity means showing up as we are, not perfect, not invincible, but real. It means admitting when we don't have all the answers. It means apologizing sincerely when we make mistakes. It means being consistent in our words and actions, even when it is inconvenient. Authenticity invites authenticity. When we dare to be real, we give others permission to do the same, and trust naturally follows. Forgiveness is another vital component of trust. No one is perfect. Even those we trust most will sometimes disappoint us. Trust doesn't mean expecting perfection. It means believing that mistakes will be acknowledged and corrected. It means choosing to see the good even when the bad shows itself. It means allowing for redemption. In long-term relationships, the ability to forgive, to say, "I was hurt, but I believe in you," is what allows trust not just to survive but to deepen. Forgiveness transforms pain into understanding and misunderstanding into connection. Consistency is crucial. Trust thrives when actions align with words, not once or twice, but over time. It is easy to make promises in moments of excitement or emotion. It is harder, but infinitely more meaningful, to honor those promises when the feelings have faded and the effort is real. Consistency builds credibility. It says, "You can rely on me. You don't have to wonder where you stand with me." Inconsistent behavior breeds doubt, and doubt is the enemy of trust. It is better to promise little and deliver much than to promise everything and deliver little. Empathy is also at the heart of trust. When people feel understood, truly seen and heard, they are more willing to trust. Empathy means not just hearing someone's words, but feeling their emotions. It means stepping into their shoes, even if their experiences are different from our own. Empathy dissolves barriers. It reminds us that at our core, we are all human, all vulnerable, all longing for connection. A relationship grounded in empathy is one where trust flows freely, where people feel safe to be their full selves. The beauty of trust is that it multiplies. When you trust someone and they experience that trust, they are more likely to trust others. Trust begets trust. In families, it creates cycles of security and open communication. In workplaces, it builds cultures of collaboration and innovation. In communities, it fosters cooperation and peace. Just as distrust spreads quickly, so does trust. A single act of faith can set off a chain reaction that transforms entire networks of relationships. Yet, because trust is so powerful, it is also incredibly fragile. Betrayal cuts deep because it violates the very essence of what we believe to be true. Rebuilding trust after it is broken is possible, but it is a slow and painful process. It requires genuine remorse, consistent change, and often a long period of proving oneself trustworthy again. This is why trust must be cherished and protected. It should never be taken for granted. It should never be played with. It is a sacred bond, once damaged, never quite the same again. Ultimately, trust is a choice. It is a daily decision to believe in the goodness of another, to invest in their intentions, to stand by them even when doubt whispers in our ear. It is a choice that requires courage because there is always a risk. But without taking that risk, we can never experience the fullness of connection that trust brings. Trust allows us to love without fear, to work without suspicion, to dream without limits. It opens the door to a life that is rich in meaning and boundless in potential. Trust is not always easy. It will be challenged. It will be tested. There will be moments when fear and past wounds make us want to withdraw. But those who dare to trust, even after being hurt, are the bravest of all. They understand that the rewards of trust, deep connection, true friendship, unwavering support are worth every risk. They understand that while trusting makes us vulnerable, it also makes us strong. It ties us to others in ways that nothing else can. In the end, everything we value most, love, friendship, loyalty, community, rests on trust. It is not just the foundation of relationships, it is the foundation of life itself. Without it, we are isolated islands. With it, we are an unbreakable network, able to withstand anything the world throws our way. Trust is not a luxury, it is not optional, it is essential, it is the first step, the constant companion, and the ultimate goal of every relationship we cherish. It is, quite simply, the force that makes everything else possible. Would you also like a second version that's a little more emotional or poetic, depending on where you plan to use it? Sure. Here's a *** 1600 word expansion ** of the key point **, earned over time, **, written naturally in flowing paragraphs without headings. Trust is one of the most powerful forces in the world, yet it is also among the most delicate. It cannot be demanded, bought, or faked. Trust is something that must be earned over time through patient, consistent actions that prove to others that we are reliable, honest, and worthy of belief. It is never the result of a single moment or grand gesture, but the quiet accumulation of moments often unnoticed that build a sense of security between people. When we first meet someone, trust is like a seed. It carries potential, but that potential must be nurtured with care. We cannot expect it to spring into a towering tree overnight. Like any living thing, it requires tending. Small acts of integrity, kindness, and consistency water that seed day after day. A promise kept, a confidence honored, a commitment followed through each is a drop of water, a ray of sunlight, strengthening the roots that will one day grow deep enough to weather storms. In today's fast-paced world, where instant gratification is everywhere, the slow nature of earning trust can feel frustrating. We often wish trust could be won with a single act of loyalty or a few heartfelt words. But real trust is never built hastily. It is the slow, steady work of showing up, again and again, even when it's hard. It's choosing to do the right thing not once, but 1,000 times, especially when no one is watching. It's being consistent in our behavior, in our principles, and in our treatment of others. People are not easily convinced by words alone. We've all heard promises that were broken, assurances that turned out to be lies, apologies that were hollow. This is why actions matter infinitely more than words when it comes to building trust. Anyone can say the right things, but trust grows when those words are backed by visible, reliable action. When someone says they will be there and then actually shows up, especially when it's inconvenient, trust strengthens. When someone admits a mistake instead of hiding it, trust deepens. When someone remains loyal in difficult times, trust solidifies. Consistency is perhaps the most important ingredient in earning trust over time. It's not enough to be reliable once or twice. People need to see that reliability over and over across different situations, especially when those situations are challenging. It's easy to act with integrity when things are going well, but what about when pressure mounts, when temptation arises, when no one would ever know if we took the easy way out? The true test of character and the foundation of trust lies in how we behave when the stakes are high. People pay close attention to patterns. One moment of kindness might be appreciated, but if it's followed by selfishness or betrayal, the trust that had started to build will wither. Trust is cumulative. Every encounter adds to or subtracts from the overall balance. This is why building trust demands emotional discipline. It requires us to act with purpose and intention, not just when it benefits us, but even when it costs us. Trust is not about being perfect, it's about being dependable, even in our imperfection. Another reason trust is earned slowly is that most people carry wounds from the past. We all have experienced betrayal in some form, a broken promise, a confidence betrayed, a friendship abandoned. These experiences make people cautious, even if they desperately want to trust again. When someone chooses to open the door to trust even slightly, it is an act of bravery. It is a gift. And it is our responsibility to honor that gift with care, knowing that once trust is broken, it is infinitely harder to repair than to build from scratch. Earning trust over time also demands authenticity. People can sense when someone is putting on a facade. Pretending to be someone we are not might win us admiration temporarily, but true trust cannot be built on illusions. Trust grows when we are honest about who we are, our strengths, our flaws, our intentions. Vulnerability is an essential part of earning trust. It shows that we have nothing to hide, that we are willing to be seen as we truly are, and that we respect others enough to be genuine with them. Time reveals what words and first impressions cannot. In the beginning of any relationship, it is easy to present the best version of ourselves. But over time, our true character will emerge in the small decisions, in the unexpected reactions, in the way we handle conflict and disappointment. Trust is built not on the highlights, but on the ordinary moments, the mundane days, the real life situations that strip away pretense. That's why it's said that you don't truly know someone until you've seen how they react when things don't go their way. How someone behaves under pressure is a better indicator of their trustworthiness than anything they might say when times are easy. Patience is essential in the journey of earning trust. We cannot rush it, just as we cannot rush the growing of a tree. Trust requires space and time to develop naturally. If we try to force it, to demand it, or to guilt someone into trusting us, we only create resistance. Trust cannot be commanded. It must be offered freely as a choice. Our job is to continue acting with integrity and patience, knowing that if we are consistent, trust will follow in its own time. One of the greatest challenges in earning trust over time is enduring the moments when we are doubted, questioned, or misunderstood. It is tempting in those moments to become defensive or to give up, but earning trust means staying steady even when it feels unfair. It means continuing to be who we are even when the results are not immediate. It means remembering that trust is not about short-term validation, it is about long-term credibility. Earning trust is an act of respect. When we commit to earning someone's trust, we are telling them, "You matter enough to me that I will be patient. I will be consistent. I will prove myself worthy, not just today, but every day." It acknowledges the other person's right to be cautious and honors their courage in being willing to eventually open their heart. Respecting someone's timeline for trust is part of building it. Everyone moves at their own pace, and real trust honors that pace without pressure or resentment. When trust is finally earned, truly earned, it is one of the strongest bonds possible. It creates a relationship that can endure distance, disagreement, hardship, and change. When someone trusts you deeply, they will give you the benefit of the doubt in moments of confusion. They will stand by you when rumors swirl. They will believe in you even when circumstances seem to suggest otherwise. Deep trust acts as an anchor, holding relationships steady even when external storms rage. There is also something profoundly rewarding about being trusted. When someone trusts you, it calls you to be your best self. It creates a sense of responsibility, not a burdensome one, but an inspiring one. Being trusted encourages us to be more honest, more kind, more consistent, because we understand the weight of what has been placed in our hands. Trust is both a gift and a responsibility, and earning it over time shapes us into better people. Of course, trust once earned must continue to be nurtured. It is not something that can be built and then ignored. Relationships require ongoing investment. Continued honesty, reliability, and empathy keep trust strong and alive. Complacency is dangerous. Just as trust can be lost through betrayal, it can also fade through neglect. We must remain vigilant, cherishing the trust we have earned and working to maintain it every day. Earning trust over time is hard. It demands patience, humility, authenticity, consistency, and courage, but the rewards are beyond measure. Trust transforms relationships, it transforms teams, it transforms communities. It creates spaces where people feel safe, valued, and understood. It builds bridges across differences and mends wounds that seemed unhealable. In a world that often moves too fast, where attention spans are short and relationships are fleeting, choosing to earn trust slowly and intentionally is a radical act. It is a statement that says, I am not here for the quick win. I am here for something real, something lasting. It is a commitment to depth over surface, substance over flash, endurance over convenience. When we look at the relationships that matter most in our lives, the ones that have stood the test of time, we realize that they were not built in grand, sweeping moments. They were built in the thousand little moments when someone chose to show up, to be honest, to stay, to listen, to care. Those relationships remind us that while trust is earned slowly, it is worth every moment of effort. In the end, the slow earning of trust is not a burden but a blessing. It gives both parties the chance to build something solid and true. It weeds out those who are only looking for what is easy and temporary and draws close those who are willing to invest in something deeper. It ensures that the foundation we stand on is not made of sand, but of rock unshakable, enduring, and strong. Trust earned over time is one of the most beautiful gifts we can give or receive, and in a world hungry for real connection, it remains one of the most precious treasures we have. Would you also like a second version that's slightly more emotional or poetic, depending on the tone you're aiming for? Of course. Here's a *** 1006 word expansion *** of ***, tested during hard times ***, written in smooth, flowing paragraphs without headings, just like you asked. Trust is often easy when life is easy. When the sun is shining, the road is smooth, and everything goes according to plan, trust can feel almost effortless. Promises are made and kept with little resistance. Kindness flows naturally, and faith in each other seems almost automatic. In the good times, trust can almost be taken for granted. It feels solid because it has not yet been challenged. But the true measure of trust is not seen in these easy, sunlit moments. Trust reveals its real strength when life grows dark, when the road becomes rough, and when circumstances test everything we thought we knew. Trust that endures hardship is trust that has been proven, tempered like steel in fire, and it is in these crucibles of life that unshakable trust is truly forged. Hard times do something to relationships that nothing else can. They strip away pretense, forcing everyone involved to reveal their true nature. In crisis, when pressure mounts and uncertainty rises, people no longer have the energy or ability to maintain facades. They act according to their deepest instincts, whether those instincts are rooted in loyalty or in self-preservation. This is why hard times are the ultimate test of trust. They answer the question, when everything is on the line, will you still be here for me? Will you still stand by me, even if standing by me costs you something? When life is difficult, trust is stretched and pulled in every direction. Fear creeps in, and fear breeds suspicion. In the face of loss, stress, disappointment, or betrayal, it becomes tempting to doubt the very people we once believed in. We wonder if they will abandon us to save themselves. We wonder if they will judge us for our weaknesses, if they will blame us for our struggles. In these moments, trust is not just tested, it is on trial. It must survive the internal storms of fear, anger, hurt, and disappointment. The people who remain faithful in our hardest moments are the ones who prove the strength of their trust. These are the ones who do not turn away when things get messy or painful. They do not disappear when our lives stop being convenient. They do not love us only at our best, but remain steadfast when we are at our worst. Their loyalty is not conditioned on our success, our happiness, or our ability to entertain or please them. It is deeper, quieter, and far more powerful. It says, "I am here for you, not because you are perfect, but because I have chosen you." This kind of trust, tested and proven through hardship, becomes almost unbreakable. Hard times come in many forms. Sometimes they are external: a job loss, an illness, a financial crisis, a public failure. Sometimes they are internal struggles with mental health, crises of identity, private battles that no one else can fully see. In all these cases, hardship strips away the comfort and predictability that shielded the relationship before. It demands something rawer and more real. It asks, "Can you still love me when I have nothing to offer but my brokenness? Can you still believe in me when I no longer believe in myself? Will you still walk beside me when the path is steep, when there are no guarantees of success or happiness at the end?" Sometimes, hardship reveals relationships that were never built on true trust in the first place. People who were present for the celebrations, the victories, the good times suddenly become absent when things fall apart. It can be heartbreaking to realize that what we thought was deep connection was actually shallow convenience. But this too is a gift, painful as it is. Hardship clarifies who is real and who is not. It exposes counterfeit trust and leaves behind only the genuine. Other times, hardship deepens relationships in ways we never could have imagined. The friend who sits with us silently through grief, the partner who stays up all night through our fear and sadness, the colleague who covers for us without expecting anything in return. These acts of loyalty and compassion, forged under pressure, create bonds that are virtually indestructible. When someone chooses us at our lowest, they etch their place in our hearts forever. Trust that has been tested in hardship carries a weight and a depth that easy times can never replicate. The way we behave toward others in their hard times also determines the trust they place in us. It is easy to support people when their lives are neat and impressive, when they are full of energy and success. It is far more difficult to love them when they are messy, struggling, and uncertain. Yet it is precisely in these moments that our love, our loyalty, our trustworthiness matter most. Being a source of stability when someone's world is unstable is one of the greatest gifts we can offer. It says, without words, "Your worth is not dependent on your circumstances. You are valuable even when you are broken." Hard times also test our ability to communicate honestly and openly. In times of stress and fear, communication often breaks down, misunderstandings multiply, small slights feel enormous. It is easy to lash out, to withdraw, to assume the worst. Maintaining trust during hard times requires intentional, courageous communication. It requires checking in, asking difficult questions, expressing fears without blame, and offering reassurances without being asked. It demands that we do the hard work of repairing fractures quickly before they grow into chasms. Silence in hard times breeds suspicion. Honest words, even painful ones, sustain trust. There is also an element of forgiveness that becomes crucial during hard times. Stress can make us act in ways we regret. We may be short, tempered, distant, or even say things we don't mean. If we are to maintain trust during and after hard seasons, we must learn to forgive imperfections not only in ourselves, but in those we love. Trust is not destroyed by small failures. It is destroyed by an unwillingness to forgive. Grace becomes the bridge that carries trust across the turbulent waters of hardship. Perhaps the most profound thing about trust tested in hard times is that it transforms both people involved. It makes the one who is struggling feel less alone, more seen, more valued, and it makes the one offering support feel stronger, more connected, more deeply invested. Walking through fire together burns away superficiality and leaves behind something pure. It creates a bond built not on illusion, but on shared struggle and survival. Trust that survives hard times carries a kind of sacredness. It becomes a quiet confidence, a knowing that does not require constant reassurance. It says, I have seen the worst of you, and I am still here. It says, we have weathered storms together, and we are still standing. This kind of trust does not need grand gestures or endless proof. It has already been proven, not in words but in actions, not in promises but in presence. The truth is, we cannot control when or how hard times come. We cannot plan for every hardship, but we can decide every day to be the kind of person who can be trusted when they do. We can build habits of honesty, loyalty, and compassion so that when the storms come, and they will, we are ready. We can choose to be the steady presence in someone else's chaos, the voice of calm in someone else's fear, the hand reaching out when someone is sinking. We can also choose to trust wisely, to recognize and cherish those who have proven themselves trustworthy. Not everyone will pass the test of hardship, and that is painful, but those who do are worth their weight in gold. They are the ones we should build our lives around, the ones we should pour our love and gratitude into. Hard times are inevitable. They are a part of every life, every relationship, every journey, but they do not have to destroy trust. In fact, if we allow them, they can strengthen it. They can strip away what is false and reveal what is true. They can turn ordinary relationships into extraordinary ones, built not on convenience but on deep, abiding faith in each other. When we look back at our lives, it will not be the easy times that we remember most vividly. It will be the moments when everything seemed lost and someone showed up. It will be the nights we thought we couldn't survive and someone held our hand. It will be the seasons when we had nothing to offer but our broken selves and someone stayed anyway. These are the moments that define trust. These are the moments that make relationships unshakable. Trust tested in hard times becomes a treasure, a source of strength for all the days that follow. It reminds us that we are not alone, that we are worthy of love even in our weakness, that loyalty still exists in a world that often feels fleeting and fragile. It is in these hardest moments that the beauty of trust shines brightest, not as something perfect, but as something enduring, not as something easy, but as something real. Would you like me to also create a shorter, punchier version of this for a speech or motivational talk? Of course, here's a full *** 1600 word expansion *** of ***, built through vulnerability, ***, written in flowing natural paragraphs, no headings, exactly how you asked. Trust is often seen as something solid and strong, yet its foundations are built upon something tender and fragile, vulnerability. Without vulnerability, trust cannot truly exist. It is vulnerability, the willingness to be seen, to be known, to risk being hurt, that opens the door to genuine connection. It is only when we dare to expose our weaknesses, our fears, and our true selves that we invite others to meet us with authenticity and acceptance. Trust is not built through perfection or invulnerability. It is built through the courageous act of saying, "Here I am, imperfect and uncertain, and I am letting you see me anyway." When we hide behind walls of strength and composure, we may impress others, but we do not invite them to trust us. We project an image, but we withhold our truth. Real trust asks for something deeper. It requires that we step beyond the polished surfaces we are tempted to maintain and offer something raw, something real. It requires that we take the risk that the person standing before us might not accept what they see and that we offer it anyway. Vulnerability is the doorway through which trust must pass. To be vulnerable is to risk. There is no guarantee that our openness will be met with kindness. There is no certainty that our honesty will be embraced. Vulnerability, by its very nature, carries the possibility of rejection, disappointment, or hurt. Yet without that risk, there can be no trust. Trust only means something when there is a choice involved, when there is something at stake. If connection required no risk, it would be easy and meaningless. It is the very possibility of pain that makes trust so precious when it is given and received. Vulnerability is not weakness, it is profound strength. It is far easier to armor ourselves against the world, to pretend we are unaffected, to hide our fears and wounds behind smiles or sarcasm or silence, to stand unguarded, to admit our uncertainties, to reveal our dreams and hurts and hopes. This requires a kind of bravery that few people fully appreciate. Those who dare to be vulnerable show the greatest strength because they are willing to face the possibility of being wounded in order to build something real. Trust begins to form the moment one person says, "I don't have it all figured out," and another responds, "That's okay, I'm here." It deepens when someone says, "I'm afraid," and the other says, "You're not alone." Every time vulnerability is met with empathy, with understanding rather than judgment, the bond of trust grows stronger. Each honest conversation, each unguarded moment, weaves another thread into the fabric of connection. But vulnerability is not only about sharing struggles or fears. It is also about sharing hopes, dreams, and the things we care about most. It is about daring to want something deeply and admitting it. It is about confessing our passions, our values, and the parts of ourselves that might not fit into everyone's expectations. When we let others see what matters most to us, we are inviting them into the sacred spaces of our hearts. And when they respond with acceptance and support, trust flourishes. In the absence of vulnerability, relationships remain shallow. We may have friendly interactions, shared activities, and pleasant conversations, but without vulnerability, there is no real depth. Surface-level connections can be fun and easy, but they do not sustain us through the storms of life. They do not provide the kind of profound trust that allows us to feel safe, known, and truly loved. Vulnerability is the bridge between acquaintance and true connection, between politeness and intimacy, between knowing about someone and truly knowing them. Many people fear vulnerability because they have been hurt in the past. Experiences of betrayal, rejection, or ridicule can teach us that it is safer to hide our true selves. The walls we build to protect ourselves can feel necessary and even wise, and for a time they may serve a purpose, shielding us from further harm. But over time, those same walls can become prisons. They keep out not only pain but also love, connection, and trust. To build trust again, we must slowly, carefully, and courageously take down those walls, brick by brick, and invite others in. Building trust through vulnerability requires wisdom. Not every person deserves access to our innermost selves. Vulnerability should be offered carefully to those who have shown themselves to be safe. It is not about baring our souls to everyone we meet, but about gradually revealing ourselves to those who have proven worthy. Trust grows best in environments where vulnerability is honored, where honesty is met with compassion, and where both parties are willing to take the risk of being real. In relationships where vulnerability is embraced, a beautiful dynamic emerges. Each act of openness invites the other to be more open as well. Each moment of honesty builds a foundation that can support even greater honesty. Over time, a safe space is created where both people can bring their whole selves, the good, the messy, and everything in between. This is the soil in which true trust takes root and grows strong. There is a profound mutuality in vulnerability. When we are vulnerable with someone, we are not only asking them to accept us, we are offering them a gift. We are saying, "I trust you enough to show you who I really am." And in doing so, we often give them permission to be vulnerable as well. Our courage inspires their courage. Our honesty invites their honesty. In this way, vulnerability does not only build trust, it multiplies it. There are moments in every relationship where vulnerability becomes a crossroads. A hard truth needs to be told, a mistake needs to be admitted, a fear needs to be voiced. In these moments, we can choose to stay safe, to keep silent, to maintain the illusion of control, or we can choose to be vulnerable. When we choose vulnerability, we are choosing trust. We are saying, I value this relationship enough to take the risk. And when that vulnerability is met with grace rather than judgment, the relationship moves into a deeper, more resilient phase. Building trust through vulnerability also means being willing to sit with discomfort, our own and others. Vulnerability is messy. It brings up complex emotions, fear, sadness, anger, hope, longing. It is tempting to try to fix, to solve, to smooth over discomfort as quickly as possible. But real trust grows when we can simply be present with each other in those uncomfortable spaces. When we can say, I don't have all the answers, but I'm here with you. We offer a kind of trust that is richer than any quick solution. Vulnerability demands that we let go of control. When we open ourselves to others, we cannot control how they will respond. We cannot force them to understand us, to accept us, or to respond the way we hope. This loss of control is frightening, but it is also what makes trust so meaningful. Trust says, even though I cannot control the outcome, I am willing to take the leap. And often, it is in the very act of letting go that we find the connection we have been longing for. It is important to recognize that vulnerability is not a one-time act, but an ongoing practice. Trust is built not through a single conversation, but through a series of moments over time. It is built when we dare to speak up even after being misunderstood. It is built when we choose to show up honestly even after being hurt. It is built when we stay open to love, even when fear whispers that it would be safer to shut down. In a world that often prizes image, perfection, and strength, choosing vulnerability can feel radical. It is a quiet rebellion against the idea that we must be flawless to be worthy of love and trust. It is a declaration that being real is more important than being impressive. It is a commitment to authenticity over performance, to connection over appearance. The irony is that the more we try to appear strong and invulnerable, the less trustworthy we often seem. People sense when we are hiding something, even if they cannot name it. They may admire our competence, but they do not feel close to us. It is when we allow our humanity to show our struggles, our doubts, our hopes that we invite others to relax, to exhale, to trust. Vulnerability breeds relatability, and relatability breeds trust. At the heart of trust built through vulnerability is a deep respect for one another's humanity. It is an acknowledgement that we are all works in progress, all carrying unseen burdens, all longing for connection and acceptance. It is a commitment to see each other fully, to love each other bravely, and to walk alongside each other through both joy and pain. In the end, vulnerability is not about spilling all our secrets or wearing our hearts on our sleeves for the whole world to see. It is about choosing with discernment and courage to let down our guard for those who have earned the right to see us. It is about believing that real connection is worth the risk of being hurt. It is about trusting that even if we are wounded, we are strong enough to heal, and that the beauty of true trust is worth every scar we might carry along the way. Trust built through vulnerability is not perfect, but it is real. It is not without fear, but it is stronger than fear. It is not effortless, but it is worth every ounce of effort it demands. In a world hungry for authenticity, vulnerability is the bridge that connects heart to heart, soul to soul. And on that bridge, trust grows, thrives, and transforms lives in ways that nothing else can. Would you like me to also give you a version that's slightly more poetic and emotional if you want a second option for different use? Of course, here's a full *** 1600 word ** expansion of ***, strengthened by integrity, *** written in smooth, flowing paragraphs without headings, just like you requested. Trust, at its core, relies on the invisible thread of integrity. Without integrity, trust is fragile, unreliable, and short-lived. Integrity is what gives trust its backbone, its resilience, its enduring strength. It is through the consistent alignment of words and actions, through doing what is right even when it is hard, that trust finds its deepest and most lasting roots. When people know they can rely not only on what we say, but on who we are when no one is looking, trust is not just maintained, it is strengthened, fortified against the tests of time and adversity. Integrity is not a one-time performance, it is a daily choice, a quiet, steadfast commitment to living by a set of values even when there is no applause or reward. It is the promise to oneself and to others to be honest, to be fair, to be courageous in the face of pressure to compromise. Every small act of integrity builds a foundation beneath relationships, businesses, families, and communities that nothing else can replicate. People instinctively trust those whose actions are consistent with their principles, whose loyalty is not swayed by personal gain or shifting circumstances. When someone demonstrates integrity over time, it creates a predictability that fosters deep trust. We come to know that their words are not hollow, their promises are not empty, their support is not conditional on whether it benefits them. This reliability becomes a shelter in a world that is often unpredictable and self-serving. It provides a solid ground upon which trust can not only be built, but can flourish and endure. Even when misunderstandings arise, even when conflicts occur, the presence of integrity reassures everyone involved that truth, fairness, and respect will prevail. There is something profoundly powerful about knowing that someone will do the right thing even if it costs them. Integrity means keeping a promise even when it is inconvenient. It means telling the truth even when a lie would be easier. It means standing up for what is right even when it invites criticism or loss. Trust grows stronger every time integrity is chosen over expediency, every time character is placed above comfort. People often notice acts of integrity even when they are small and seemingly invisible. The employee who admits a mistake rather than covering it up, the leader who gives credit to others rather than claiming the spotlight, the friend who tells the truth kindly even when it is hard to hear. These moments accumulate over time, creating a history that tells others, "You can count on me. I will not betray your trust, even when it would be easier for me to do so." In this way, integrity is like a slow, steady investment in trust, one that pays immeasurable dividends. Trust that is strengthened by integrity becomes nearly unbreakable because it is not based on performance or perfection. It is based on the assurance that even when failures happen, even when mistakes are made, there will be accountability, honesty, and a commitment to make things right. It is the knowledge that while people are fallible, their character remains steady. This kind of trust creates a sense of safety that is rare and precious. It allows people to be open, to take risks, to collaborate, to love more deeply, because they know they are standing on solid ground. In contrast, when integrity is absent, trust becomes shaky and tentative. Promises are questioned, motives are doubted. People guard their hearts, their ideas, their energy, because they fear betrayal. Without integrity, relationships deteriorate into a series of calculations and defenses, rather than a place of genuine connection and mutual support. The damage that a lack of integrity can cause is often slow and insidious, but once trust is broken in this way, it is incredibly difficult to repair. Words alone cannot rebuild what was lost. Only a renewed, sustained commitment to integrity over time can hope to restore it. Integrity strengthens trust because it is visible even in moments of difficulty. It is easy to do the right thing when there is no cost, no sacrifice involved. The real test of integrity, and therefore the real opportunity to strengthen trust, comes when doing the right thing demands something from us. It might demand time, resources, reputation, comfort, or even relationships. Those who choose integrity anyway send a powerful, undeniable message. You can trust me not because it is easy, but because it is who I am. Living with integrity also builds internal trust within ourselves. When we consistently act according to our values, we cultivate a sense of self-respect and inner strength that others can sense. People who trust themselves are more trustworthy to others because they are not ruled by fear, impulse, or the shifting opinions of the crowd. They have an internal compass that guides them, and this steadiness draws others in and creates a safe emotional environment. Integrity, then, is not just about how we treat others. It is about how we relate to ourselves, how we anchor ourselves amid the uncertainties of life. Strengthening trust through integrity also requires humility. It demands the ability to admit when we have fallen short, to take responsibility without defensiveness, and to make amends sincerely. No one is perfect, and integrity does not mean pretending to be. It means facing our imperfections honestly and striving to live more fully aligned with our values each day. Owning our mistakes, correcting our course, and learning from failures are all essential to maintaining trust in the long term. Integrity manifests not only in big moral choices, but also in the countless small decisions we make each day. It is in how we speak about others when they are not present. It is in whether we honor our commitments, even when they seem minor. It is in whether we listen to understand or listen merely to reply. It is in how we use power when we have it, and how we respond to vulnerability when we see it in others. Each small decision is a thread, and together they weave a tapestry of character that others can see, trust, and lean on. In the professional world, integrity is often the distinguishing factor between temporary success and lasting impact. A career built on manipulation or dishonesty may achieve short-term gains but will eventually crumble under the weight of broken trust. In contrast, a career built on integrity, even if its growth is slower, becomes a legacy of reliability, respect, and influence. People want to work with, follow, and support those they trust. Integrity makes that possible, and it transforms professional achievements into something far more meaningful and enduring. In personal relationships, integrity is the foundation of love, friendship, and family bonds that withstand the pressures of life. It creates a space where people can be vulnerable without fear, where mistakes can be forgiven without resentment, where loyalty is not questioned because it has been proven time and again. Integrity says, I value you enough to be honest with you. I respect you enough to do right by you. I love you enough to be true even when it is hard. When two people or a group share a commitment to integrity, trust between them becomes a living, growing force. It nurtures creativity because people feel safe to express themselves. It fosters resilience because people know they can lean on each other in times of crisis. It deepens joy because people know their happiness is shared sincerely without hidden agendas. Integrity transforms trust from a fragile hope into a dependable reality. Even across generations, integrity has the power to shape trust. Parents who live with integrity raise children who trust not only their words, but their example. Leaders who lead with integrity build organizations and communities that can weather storms. Friends who choose integrity create bonds that last through decades and distance. Integrity's influence echoes beyond individual relationships into the very fabric of society, making communities stronger, more compassionate, and more just. Strengthening trust through integrity also means standing firm in moments when it would be easier to waver. It means saying no when pressured to compromise our values. It means being the person who others know will speak the truth, advocate for fairness, and protect what is right even when others remain silent. This kind of integrity is not flashy. It often goes unnoticed by the wider world. But it is noticed by those who matter most, the ones who place their trust in us, who count on us to be who we say we are. Ultimately, integrity is a gift we give not just to others but to ourselves. It frees us from the burden of pretending. It liberates us from the fear of being found out. It allows us to live whole, undivided lives where who we are aligns with what we do and say. In this wholeness, trust is not a fragile construction, but a strong and enduring reality. We become people others can lean on, people others believe in, people others trust not just with their plans or their possessions, but with their hearts. Trust that is strengthened by integrity becomes the kind of trust that endures. It weathers storms, it withstands temptations, it grows stronger with each challenge faced. It creates relationships, families, teams, and communities that do more than survive, they thrive. In a world that often tempts us to take shortcuts, to cut corners, to prioritize appearances over substance, integrity remains the surest, truest path to building and strengthening trust, the kind of trust that transforms lives. Would you also like a slightly more condensed or emotional version if you're planning to use it for speech or presentation? Of course. Here's a *** 1600 word *** natural flowing expansion on *** requires active listening *** without any headings, just as you asked. Trust is not something that grows passively between people. It must be nurtured, built deliberately, and one of the most essential tools for building trust is active listening. True listening is more than hearing words. It is about presence, attention, understanding, and responding in a way that shows genuine care. It is a process that demands effort, patience, and sincerity. In every relationship, whether personal, professional, or casual, trust deepens when individuals feel heard, not just acknowledged but truly understood. Active listening is not a passive state. It is an act of love, of respect, and of commitment to another person's reality. Most of us grow up learning to hear but not necessarily to listen. We often hear others' words while our minds are already formulating a response, solving a problem, judging, or distracted by our own internal dialogues. True active listening requires something different. It requires the listener to quiet their own thoughts and focus entirely on the speaker. It means entering into their world, attempting to understand their emotions, intentions, and unspoken meanings. Active listening involves empathy, the willingness to imagine what it is like to be in someone else's shoes and to feel what they feel. Trust thrives in the soil of understanding. When someone feels that they are being truly listened to, it tells them that they matter, that their thoughts and emotions are important. It communicates respect and validation. Even in disagreement, active listening shows that we value the other person enough to invest our attention and effort into understanding them. This builds a bridge of trust that can carry a relationship through conflict, uncertainty, and change. Listening actively requires full presence. It demands setting aside distractions, putting down the phone, turning away from the screen, silencing the need to multitask. It asks us to engage not only our ears, but our eyes, our hearts, and our full attention. It is about observing body language, tone of voice, pauses, and sighs. It is about noticing the story behind the story, the emotion beneath the words. Presence tells the speaker, "You are important to me. I am here with you, for you." In a world filled with endless distractions, this kind of presence is increasingly rare and therefore increasingly powerful. Active listening also requires patience. Conversations do not always unfold neatly. People may struggle to find the right words. They may wander, hesitate, or repeat themselves. They may reveal their true feelings only gradually, testing whether it is safe to open up. A patient listener gives space for this process without rushing, interrupting, or steering the conversation to their own agenda. Patience says, "I have time for you. You are worth my time." And with patience comes a deepening of trust, a sense that the listener is not just waiting for their turn to speak, but is genuinely invested in the speaker's experience. An essential element of active listening is reflecting and clarifying what we hear. This means paraphrasing the speaker's words, asking open-ended questions, and confirming that we understand correctly. It means saying, "What I hear you saying is," or "It sounds like you're feeling." This kind of reflection shows that we are not just passively absorbing information, but actively working to grasp the speaker's meaning. It invites the speaker to correct misunderstandings, to elaborate, and to feel validated. In doing so, we build a deeper layer of trust, the trust that we care enough to get it right. Active listening also means resisting the urge to fix, judge, or advise prematurely. It is so tempting to jump in with solutions, opinions, or evaluations. We want to help, to offer wisdom, to make the other person feel better. But often, what people need most is not advice, but understanding. They need to feel seen, not assessed, heard, not fixed. Active listening requires humility, the recognition that being present and empathetic is sometimes far more powerful than any advice we could offer. It means holding space for the speaker's process without trying to rush it or control it. When we listen actively, we create a safe environment where people feel free to be vulnerable. Vulnerability is the seed from which trust grows, but it cannot flourish in an environment where people fear judgment, dismissal, or misunderstanding. Active listening creates a space of safety where vulnerability is welcomed and honored. It says, "You can bring your real self here. You do not have to hide, edit, or pretend." This kind of safety is foundational to building trust that lasts. Active listening also involves managing our own emotional reactions. Sometimes what we hear may trigger strong feelings in us: defensiveness, anger, fear, sadness. A skilled listener acknowledges these feelings without letting them hijack the conversation. They stay grounded, focusing on the speaker's experience rather than getting lost in their own reactions. This emotional regulation shows maturity, respect, and commitment to the relationship. It builds trust by demonstrating that we can handle difficult conversations without withdrawing, attacking, or shutting down. It is important to remember that active listening is a practice, not a perfection. We will not always get it right. We will sometimes become distracted, impatient, or reactive. What matters is the willingness to recognize when we have strayed from true listening and to return to it. The very act of striving to listen better strengthens trust because it shows that we care enough to make the effort. It communicates that the relationship is important to us, important enough to warrant our best attention. In conflicts especially, active listening becomes even more critical. During disagreements, the temptation to listen defensively, to listen only to rebut or defend, is very strong. But active listening calls us to listen to understand, not to win. It challenges us to set aside our need to be right and to prioritize the relationship over our ego. When both parties commit to this kind of listening, conflicts can become opportunities for greater intimacy and understanding, rather than sources of division. Trust is strengthened when people see that even in the heat of conflict, they are still respected and valued. Active listening requires curiosity, a genuine interest in the other person's inner world. It means approaching conversations with a sense of wonder, a willingness to be surprised, a readiness to discover new depths in the people we think we know. Curiosity invites exploration rather than assumption. It says, "I want to know more about you," and this openness fosters a trust that is dynamic and ever growing because it acknowledges that people are always changing, evolving, and revealing new layers of themselves. Another critical aspect of active listening is the acknowledgement of emotions. People often express emotions indirectly or tentatively, testing whether it is safe to reveal more. An active listener picks up on these cues and responds with empathy. They validate the emotion, even if they do not fully understand the situation. Statements like "that sounds really hard," or "I can see why you'd feel that way," convey empathy without judgment. This emotional attunement deepens trust by assuring the speaker that their feelings are valid and that they are not alone in them. Active listening is also about remembering the stories people tell, the details they share, the dreams they disclose. Following up on past conversations, asking how a situation turned out, how a project is going, how someone is feeling now shows that we truly listened and that we care beyond the moment. Memory becomes a powerful tool for building trust because it shows that the other person's words and experiences mattered enough to stay with us. Trust built through active listening is resilient because it is based on a deep understanding of each other's realities. It is not built on assumptions or projections, but on genuine knowledge of the other person's hopes, fears, struggles, and joys. This kind of trust is able to withstand challenges because it is rooted in truth, in reality, in the ongoing work of knowing and valuing each other. In many ways, active listening is an act of love. It is a way of saying, "You matter. Your thoughts and feelings are important. I am here for you, not just in body, but in heart and mind as well." It is one of the most generous gifts we can offer another human being, the gift of our full attention, our open heart, and our willing ears. In a culture that often prizes speed, productivity, and surface-level interactions, active listening stands as a revolutionary act of care, a profound investment in trust. Trust that is built and strengthened through active listening is not easily shaken. It endures misunderstandings because there is a history of being heard. It weathers disagreements because there is a foundation of respect. It thrives across time and distance because the connection is real, rooted in genuine understanding. Active listening transforms relationships from fragile associations into enduring bonds that can hold the weight of life's joys and sorrows alike. Ultimately, active listening is not just about hearing others better. It is about becoming better ourselves. It deepens our empathy, sharpens our focus, humbles our egos, and expands our hearts. It teaches us patience, resilience, and compassion. And in doing so, it builds not only trust with others, but a stronger, wiser, and more loving version of ourselves. Active listening is not just a skill. It is a way of being, a way of relating to the world with attentiveness, curiosity, and care. It is a lifelong practice, one that rewards us with the rich, enduring trust that only true connection can bring. Would you also like a second, slightly shorter or more emotional version if you're planning to use it for something specific, of course? Here's a *** 1600 word *** natural flowing expansion of *** destroyed quickly, built slowly, *** with no headings, just smooth paragraphs as you asked. Trust is one of the most precious, yet most fragile elements of human connection. It takes a great deal of time, consistency, and effort to build, but it can be shattered in an instant. This delicate balance of slow growth and sudden destruction defines the nature of trust across all types of relationships, whether between friends, family members, co-workers, leaders and their followers, or even within entire communities. The slow and careful construction of trust demands a patience and intentionality that is often invisible, yet the sudden collapse of trust, once it occurs, is immediate, painful, and profoundly visible. The slow building of trust is like the construction of a great cathedral stone by stone, each placed with care and precision, often taking generations to complete. Each small action, each fulfilled promise, each moment of honesty and vulnerability adds another stone to the structure. It requires consistency over time. Trust grows through repeated experiences where words and actions align, where intentions are made clear, and where reliability becomes a habit rather than an exception. This kind of slow, layered building demands not just initial effort but ongoing maintenance. One cannot simply declare trust once and assume it will remain intact. It needs to be nourished, protected, and reaffirmed through continued acts of integrity, loyalty, empathy, and understanding. However, while building trust is a process that demands time and patience, destroying it can happen in a heartbeat. A single act of betrayal, dishonesty, negligence, or disrespect can undo years of careful construction. This imbalance between the speed of trust's collapse and the slowness of its formation is what makes trust both so valuable and so perilous. When trust is broken, it is not just the immediate relationship that suffers, it shakes the very foundation upon which mutual understanding and emotional safety are built. Suddenly, the sense of predictability and security that once anchored the relationship vanishes, replaced by doubt, fear, and suspicion. The swiftness with which trust can be destroyed often leaves people reeling, struggling to understand how something that seemed so strong could fall apart so quickly. In that moment, the entire history of positive interactions can be overshadowed by a single negative incident. Memory becomes selective. All the times trust was honored and upheld may fade into the background, and the betrayal, or the lie, or the broken promise takes center stage. It colors perceptions, twists interpretations, and often redefines the relationship entirely. This is why those who betray trust are often shocked by the intensity of the hurt they cause. They may see it as a single mistake, but to the person whose trust has been broken, it is a rupture that calls into question everything that came before. Rebuilding trust after it has been broken is often harder than building it the first time. It requires not only the same patience, consistency, and integrity, but also an added layer of humility, accountability, and a willingness to sit with the discomfort of the damage done. The one who has broken trust must acknowledge the full impact of their actions without defensiveness or minimization. They must offer sincere apologies, not just in words, but in changed behavior over time. They must accept that forgiveness, if it comes, will be a slow process, and that trust may never return to its original state. In some cases, despite genuine efforts, trust may not be fully restored at all. For the one whose trust has been broken, the process of rebuilding is equally arduous. It requires a willingness to open up again, to risk vulnerability after experiencing betrayal. It demands discernment, the ability to judge whether the person who caused the hurt is truly committed to change, and the courage to hope even while guarding against further harm. It is a slow, painful recalibration of expectations, boundaries, and hopes. It often involves grieving the loss of the relationship as it once was, and deciding whether a new form of relationship can be built from the ruins. The truth is, trust cannot be commanded or demanded. It can only be earned, and once broken, it must be earned again with even more care. Words alone are not enough. Promises without action only deepen the wound. Rebuilding trust requires a series of trustworthy actions, repeated consistently over time, with no shortcuts or quick fixes. It is a process marked by patience, transparency, and an unwavering commitment to restoring what was lost, even when the process feels slow and the outcome uncertain. Trust is also fragile because it rests on unseen emotional investments. It is not just about reliability or performance. It is about the emotional bond that says, "I believe you will act in my best interest even when it costs you. I believe you will not harm me, even when you have the power to do so." When that bond is broken, the wound is not merely intellectual but deeply emotional. It is a betrayal of vulnerability, a violation of safety. Healing from such wounds demands time, reflection, and sometimes the rebuilding of self-trust before extending trust outward again. The slow building of trust and its quick destruction are realities not only in personal relationships, but also in larger societal structures. Communities build trust with leaders, companies, institutions, and governments through years of demonstrated care, fairness, and transparency. Yet a single scandal, a single act of corruption or injustice can erode public trust almost overnight. When trust in leadership or institutions breaks down, the effects ripple through society, causing disillusionment, division, and instability. Rebuilding such widespread trust is a monumental task that requires not only systemic change, but also a sincere, sustained effort to repair the emotional bonds that have been broken. Even within friendships and families, the principle remains the same. Trust is cultivated through countless small gestures,